Welcome, everyone. I'm Greg, and today we're joined by Tessa, who has recently experienced living in Milan, Italy, through an apartment booked via Homelike. Homelike offers a unique solution for those seeking temporary housing with all of the comforts of home. Tessa, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Pleasure to be here.
Great, that's great to hear. Okay, well, today we're here to dive into your experience with Homelike during your stay in Milan. So, to kick things off, can you start by telling us a bit about what led you to choose Homelike for your stay in Milan?
Yeah, of course. So I was originally going to Milan for a short-term assignment. I was sent on behalf of my company to work for a few months. And I wasn't having the best luck when it comes to finding an apartment that would fulfill the requirements I was looking for through regular relocation agencies. It wasn't necessarily a good fit. So I decided to take things into my own hands and look for an apartment. And I came across Homelike. And I could, from the get go, see that this page offered more of the homes or apartments I was looking for within the areas I was looking for. But, of course, at the beginning, you're always a bit skeptical when it comes to websites and apartments nowadays. But I had read some good reviews, so I decided to go for it, and I'm happy I did.
Oh, great. That's great to hear. And did you have a look at other competitors or any other solutions?
Yeah, I honestly just went for Google. So to say I Googled, apartments in Milan, short-term rentals. So I was only going to be staying for a few months. And Homelike was one of the top three pages that came up. I looked at other pages as well. But what made me lean more towards Homelike in comparison to other competitors was the short response time. So they would respond to my emails quite quickly. It looked quite safe already from the setup, and I had read some good reviews about this page. So this is where it made me go for Homelike.
Okay. So, what were the most important factors for you when selecting an apartment, and how did Homelike meet those needs?
So the first and most important requirement for me was to find a page that allowed me to scan through the different apartments and know exactly where they were located. Some pages don't tell you necessarily, they give you a rough area, but they don't really specify where the apartment will be. And that was something I was looking for. Of course, price transparency is very important as well when you're looking for an apartment, and pictures. So there were very consistent pictures and high quality pictures of each apartment, which allowed me to get a better insight. That, of course, and all the information and details of the apartment were also specified: square meters, what it included, and so on.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood. Okay. And could you walk us through the booking process? How did you find the experience from searching to securing your apartment?
I can sincerely say the booking process was great. I have no issues whatsoever, and I would recommend it for anyone in my position. You basically just look through the apartments, send in a request, and Homelike will get back to you to tell you whether the apartment you want to book fulfills your requirements in terms of dates and so on. Because at times, there's always apartments that get filled up before you send the request and then it's not available, which happened to me actually at the beginning. But I was very impressed by the fact that Homelike got back to me indicating that the apartment was not available, but offering an apartment that was excellent and very comparable in all senses. So it was very easy for me to at the same price. And that was the important thing. At the same price, and I could easily just accept that request instead.
And was that recommendation done personally from a booking manager, or was it via an email?
That was done by an email and also through the web. So you have a profile on Homelike, and there you can see all the messages and requests that you have sent in.
Yeah. Okay, great. It's really good to hear that type of feedback from someone who works in more of the operational side of things. It's good to hear how some of the things that we have in the process working to your advantage. So, thanks for sharing that. So, moving to a new city, even temporarily, I can imagine it can be quite daunting. How did Homelike support you in settling into your new home?
Well, here I can only speak from my experience. Since I moved around quite a bit, I didn't require or inquire about any additional services. The only thing I needed was the apartment, so to say. and then didn't need to register, for example. So having that into account, taking that into consideration, the Homelike fulfilled the services I needed. I'm not sure if there are other services available, but what I needed is to get into the apartment, which was done without hurdle. I was given a passcode, the keys. It was very easy, and the contact to the landlord or the renting service in this case, which also worked very well. They were available 24/7 whenever I had an issue.
Perfect. Oh, that's really good to hear. And one of Homelike's promises is to offer a home away from home. How well did your accommodation live up to this expectation?
Home away from home. Well, it was a great location. The apartment was everything it needed to be. So in that sense, I felt very comfortable. I didn't have any issues. It was all in all very pleasant experience, and I don't have any complaints nor specific points where I say, "Oh, I felt more at home here than in other places." It was just all in all. I think the most important thing I can say is when you're moving somewhere else, it's less of what a service or a company can give you that it's extraordinary. It's actually more about the basic needs that are sometimes not even fulfilled. So I was very happy to see that my basic requirements, the things that were on the top of my priority list, were fulfilled. That's the only important thing for me.
And I heard, so that was like location and price. Is that right?
That was essentially getting the service I'm I was asking for to the T. So I rented
Right.
an apartment. The apartment looked like the pictures. The price was exactly like it was accorded. The service was there. The landlord was very trustworthy and very available the whole time.
Yeah.
I think this was one of the main things as well for me. The fact that I could safely sign the contract without having to worry about strange terms and conditions being included, which can often happen because, home like screens their landlords and so on. That fact already gave me a lot of assurance and made me feel very safe and secure getting to Milan, not thinking, okay, I'm going to end up at the train station without an apartment. So I felt very safe and secure.
So curious, during your stay, did you need to contact Homelike's customer service for any reason?
I actually did not. I got the contact of the renting service. So you have Homelike and then you have your landlord or renting service. And I had them on WhatsApp. I'm a quite easy tenant, but they were super available. For example, the Wi-Fi stopped working at one point in time. They responded within 5 minutes. My door passcode was changed because sometimes that happens each month. They were available by call. I could call them at any hour. So all in all, I didn't even have the need to contact Homelike because the landlord and the renting service was so pleasant to work with or to rent from.
Excellent. Very good. And living in Milan for 3 months must have given you a unique perspective on the city. So what was some of your favorite experiences or discoveries that your location allowed?
Well, my location, actually, I can say this because renting services at the same price, when you're looking at home, like you're often looking at apartments on the expensive end, right? But this is the case when you're working with a relocation agency as well. And I was actually surprised to see that the apartments offered on Homelike were way better in terms of location and in terms of pricing, or the same, but you got way more than the ones that were offered by relocation agencies. So this was the main thing. Even by spending the same amount in a better area allowed me to experience the city in a way better light, so to say. You had better streets, safer streets. I was traveling alone as well, going to work alone. And as a young female, you're always a bit worried about where you're living exactly, especially if it's a new city. So having an apartment in a very safe area gave me a lot of reassurance and made my entire trip and my entire stay very pleasant once again.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. I'm glad you had a really good experience. It can be like a make or break thing, really, isn't
Oh,
it? Yeah.
definitely. I think that's a
Yeah.
thing.
From a practical standpoint, were there any amenities or services provided through the home like apartment that you found particularly useful?
Yeah. Definitely. So dealing with Homelike, as I said, the contract itself, being able to, you know, sign it with a lot of trust was great, I think. It's a big part actually, because a lot of people I know have actually run into problems when it comes to this. Either there's strange terms and conditions in there, or the whole entire thing turns out to be a scam. So, often you would be surprised by how many strange services there are out there. So, that on the home like end, that was a great thing. And on the apartment side, you had a washing machine, which is great. You had a very safe building. I think that's also very good. There were some constructions here and there, but didn't bother me too much, to be honest. It was more of a safe building. I could leave my door open, that already tells you a lot because it was people were nice and there was an elevator. Elevator was quite nice to have with carrying a lot of baggage. So I think those two main things were the nicest.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. That's really good. And reflecting on your entire stay with home, like what stands out to you as the most valuable aspect of your experience?
The most valuable aspect of my experience is were three things. First thing is trust. Having a page you can trust when it comes to booking apartments, once again, is not something I take for granted. It's actually nowadays with so many pages, having one page you can trust is already enough and great. So I'll definitely be using the service in the future. Second is the availability. Very quick response time. If I needed anything, HomeLight was always available to me. And the third aspect was the website interface, so the user experience. So easy to navigate. It's very aesthetic as well, which makes the whole apartment searching process more, yeah, nicer and more pleasant in general.
Oh, it's lovely to hear. Really nice. I'm sure that my colleagues will really appreciate hearing that feedback from you. So thank you. And finally, would you recommend Homelike to others looking for temporary housing solutions, and why?
Definitely. I would recommend HomeLike because of things I mentioned. It's a trustworthy website. You get exactly what you're promised and not less. You can go to a country or a city, with more assurance, more, yeah, in general, with a sense of more safety, that you will actually be able to get an apartment at the price you agreed on, and so on. And yeah, I would recommend it for anyone that's looking for an apartment for a short term stay, so to say. I will be using it in the future. Of course, I would like to always mention it's on the more expensive side, right? But this is why I recommend it for working professionals that are going to be relocating to another city. If that is what you're doing, I think there isn't a better website to rent from, to be honest.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Tessa, thank you so much for taking the time to share your experiences and insights with us. Your journey really offers a fascinating glimpse into the world of temporary housing with Homelike, and it's really been a wonderful thing to hear about your adventures in Milan. To our viewers, we hope this conversation has provided you with valuable information about the unique offerings of Homelike for your travel and housing needs. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to bringing you with more stories like Tessa's. Have a great day.